Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. It's time for part 2 of the Monday Q&As, but hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. How do Olympic lifters squat up to a daily max multiple times a week Bulgarian style without an undulating rep scheme? Why hasn't this been adopted in powerlifting? This is a really tricky question to answer, and you have to keep in mind that a lot of the Olympic teams, particularly the Bulgarians, their Olympic lifting is not only their profession, it is their life. Their coaches actually minimize their social lives. They minimize their relationships. They put them in a zero stress environment so that they can recover and adapt more quickly. They're also going to be the genetic elite, and they're going to be on a lot of drugs to enhance recovery, and particularly connective tissue recovery, which is going to be your big issue doing this. You're not going to be able to do this without drugs that speed up connective tissue regeneration, at least for any lengthy period of time. And these athletes are very, very closely monitored. So you need to keep that in mind when you see programs like the Bulgarians, to where they're lifting with heavy, heavy weights 6 days a week up to 8 hours at a time. And they're doing 600-pound squats 6 days a week. And as far as it being implemented in powerlifting, some powerlifters have done this. Jamie Lewis comes to mind. If you don't know who he is, check him out. He actually does, a lot of his training is based on the Bulgarian method, and some of it has been incorporated into Westside Barbell conjugate system, but not to this degree. And it's just tricky to make this work for non-professional athletes for a whole host of reasons. All right, next question. Fighter estrogens in beer versus strength and muscle gains. I'm going to just put this bluntly. Guys who have no intention of injecting drugs into their body, your only concern regarding hormones in your body needs to be, am I consuming enough dietary fat to produce my hormones? Outside of that, you guys do not need to worry about your estrogen levels, your testosterone levels, your HGH levels. You need to worry about hitting your target macros and micros for the day in your diet, and you need to worry about perfecting your training, because if making minor improvements in your training will give you 500 times more gains in protein synthesis and everything else than trying to micromanage or manipulate hormones or worry about if something I'm doing is going to decrease my testosterone 10% or boost my estrogen 10%. These things are so trivial compared to something like your training programming that you're wasting huge amounts of time worrying about hormones and things that you can't really manipulate enough in order to make a difference. So you need to focus more on hitting your numbers in your diet correctly and getting your training down perfect. And if you are not qualified to write your own programs and you need to use programs written by experts, you will get so much more gains doing that than you will by worrying about these other things that don't matter. So these are things that people really shouldn't concern themselves with to a large degree. All right, next question. How did you come up with the name Ice Cream Fitness? Yes, I have given credit for this, by the way, and the Hodge twins are aware of this and they think it's funny. So I didn't steal this from them. They know about it. They laughed about it. When Ian and the twins were having their little spat months ago, when Ian first really came on the scene, and the Hodge twins nicknamed him Pop-Tart Fitness, I totally stole it from them. When they did that, I thought, well, I like ice cream more, even though I do flexible dieting. I think ice cream is a better fit for it than Pop-Tarts, because Pop-Tarts are kind of nasty as fuck. And I don't eat that stuff. But I do like ice cream. So I just went with the Ice Cream Fitness thing, and it pretty much stuck. All right, next question. How can you tell whether it's dry muscle or just glycogen water? This came up when I mentioned that I've gained a bunch of glycogen weight when I upped my calories recently. In the case of that, if you know that you're not consuming enough to gain fat and you've increased your calories, and you know that you're only capable of gaining a pound of muscle a month, and you gain 6 pounds, well, it's all going to be glycogen and water unless it's fat. So it's pretty straightforward, guys. If you add another 200 grams of carbs a day to your diet and you gain 6 pounds, odds are it's glycogen, and you might have gained a small amount of muscle and maybe a small amount of fat in there. And if it's very, very quick, then it's always going to be glycogen and water, because you're not going to gain 5 pounds of fat or muscle even combined together in a week's time. So that's how you come to that sort of conclusion. All right, last question in this video. Cardio after weights, does it really matter as long as you get your calories in, or can doing cardio after weights affect your strength gains? Yes, cardio after weights, if you're in any sort of gaining phase, is an absolute no-no. If you are trying to bulk or you're trying to gain strength and you are not cutting, then you should do no endurance training of any type on the same days that you lift weights. Do your conditioning work on off days. It has been documented. There's a bunch of recent meta-analysis on this. You can pull them up showing that this happens, that you undo some of the training from your resistance training by then cross-training those same muscle fibers for endurance. It should be restructuring themselves to be faster twitch and for strength gains and thus have more hypertrophy potential. So yes, you are interfering with your weight training directly by doing that. So you need at least 24 hours between, and you need to have eaten a lot of carbs and have started to adapt and recover, replenish glycogen, and started the regeneration and growth process before you do any endurance work. So no, do not mix them on the same days, other than if you are cutting, which is a completely different story, in which case you're not really concerned about gaining muscle or strength. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will give you one more of these later.